In 2024, a 2017 Mercedes G-Wagon hit the U.S. used car market. It was listed at $118,000. That vehicle was 7 years old, and the buyer did not need long to decide. At the same time, a 2021 BMW X7 was listed at $52,000. That is a car just 3 years old. That is nearly half its value gone in 36 months. Nobody was interested. This is not a story about luxury cars versus budget cars. This is a story about how real assets actually work, and why 95% of luxury car buyers are making a terrible mistake without even knowing it. Most people, when they think of the G-Wagon, think of one thing: showing off. It is big, boxy, drinks fuel like water. It starts at $140,000. Just hearing that sounds financially absurd. But here is the interesting part. People who truly understand wealth preservation think differently. Think portfolio managers handling $10 million or more. They do not judge an asset by its purchase price. They judge it by resale value after 5, 7, and 10 years. Now look at real data from IC Cars. It is an independent used car market analysis platform in the US. The picture looks completely different from what the crowd assumes. According to a 2023 IC Cars report, the G-Wagon ranks among the best. It loses less than 9% of its value in the first year. Meanwhile, the BMW X7 loses 23%. The Range Rover Sport loses up to 28% in the first year. To put that in perspective, buy a Range Rover Sport today. The price is $95,000. 12 months later, that asset is worth around $68,000. You lost $27,000. That is a brand new Toyota Corolla, gone in 1 year. So the question becomes, why? The G-Wagon has no special technology compared to its rivals. No giant touchscreen like the BMW iX. No complex adaptive suspension like the Porsche Cayenne. The interior is actually quite simple for the price point. Here is something most car buyers never notice, even ones who research carefully before buying. The Mercedes G-Wagon launched in 1979. From 1979 until today, its exterior design has barely changed. Same boxy frame, same vertical exterior door handles, same round headlights up front. This sounds like a design weakness, but it is actually the biggest financial advantage this vehicle has. Drive a 2024 G-Wagon and nobody on the road can tell what year it is. Nobody. A 2018 G-Wagon looks nearly identical to a 2024 one. That means the status signal this car sends never goes out of date. Now compare that to the 2018 BMW X5. Place it next to a 2024 model, and the difference is obvious immediately. That is why used car buyers will not pay much for a 6-year-old one. One glance, and you know it is old. In the auto industry, this is called design-driven depreciation. That means depreciation caused by a design going out of style. The G-Wagon is nearly immune to this. Mercedes has never changed its basic silhouette. There is one more factor people rarely mention: tightly controlled supply. Mercedes does not build the G-Wagon in large numbers. Automotive News reports global annual production. The figure runs 30,000 to 40,000 units. That is far smaller than the BMW X5 or Range Rover. Limited supply, steady demand. The result? No reason for resale prices to collapse. Now we get to the part most G-Wagon videos never cover, because this part is for business owners, not the typical consumer. The U.S. Federal Tax Code, specifically IRS Section 179, allows something. Business owners can deduct the full cost of a business asset in year 1. That replaces spreading the cost over several years like standard depreciation. Here is the key requirement. The vehicle needs a gross vehicle weight rating of 6,001 pounds plus. The G550 has a GVWR of 6,724 pounds. It clears the threshold. Here is the real math. Say you own an LLC or an S-Corp in the United States. You buy a G-Wagon for $150,000 under the business name. You use it for business purposes at least 50% of the time. Combine Section 179 with bonus depreciation for the 2024 tax year. You can deduct most of that vehicle's value from taxable income in year one. Say your business sits in the 37% tax bracket. A $150,000 deduction saves $55,500. In that scenario, your $150,000 G-Wagon costs less. After tax savings, the real cost drops to $94,500. Say that vehicle still holds $100,000 in resale value. After 7 years, your real cost turns negative. You made money owning a luxury vehicle. This is not theory. This is how business owners actually use the G-Wagon as a tax planning tool. You can find more detail on the official IRS site, Publication 946. Look for the section on property used in your business. One important note: this is not personal tax advice. Every situation needs review by a licensed CPA or tax attorney. This information is real and verifiable. It directly affects the math for anyone buying a vehicle for business use. To put the G-Wagon in context, compare it with rivals at the same price. IC Cars publishes real-world 5-year depreciation data. That data comes from millions of used car transactions tracked across the U.S. Here are the numbers worth noting. After 5 years, the Range Rover Sport loses 49.1%. The BMW X7 loses 46.3%. The Cadillac Escalade loses 38.4%. The Mercedes GLS loses 42.7%. The G-Wagon loses 27.4%. Not because the G-Wagon is technically superior. It is because the secondary market pays nearly new car prices to get one. Why does this happen? First, the design never goes out of style, as we covered earlier. Second, the G-Wagon has a loyal, repeat buyer community. Many G-Wagon owners sell theirs and buy another G-Wagon. Not a BMW, not a Porsche. This buying pattern is rare in any vehicle segment other than the Porsche 911. Third, and most car buyers never know this, Mercedes limits supply. Each dealership gets a limited allocation of G-Wagons. Not every dealer has inventory on the lot. That creates immediate buying pressure in the primary market. It also sustains high prices in the secondary market. This is a deliberate supply control strategy. It mirrors how Porsche manages the 911 Turbo or Hermes manages the Birkin. Artificial scarcity is not a cheap marketing trick. When applied consistently for decades, it becomes the infrastructure of value. Now we get to the part most G-Wagon videos deliberately leave out. The G-Wagon is not the smart choice in every situation, and being one-sided about it would not be honest here. First, the G-Wagon's running costs are high. RepairPal puts annual maintenance at $1,200 to $4,500. That is significantly higher than the luxury SUV segment average. That average sits at $1,127 per year. With no tax deduction angle, that maintenance number is a pure burden. Second, pre-2017 G-Wagon models have a concerning electrical issue. This is especially true for the G550 4x4 squared model. Suspension repairs there can run $15,000 to $20,000. This is not forum talk. These are real numbers from independent Mercedes shops in Los Angeles and Miami. Those cities hold most of the G-Wagons on U.S. roads. Third, the Section 179 advantage only applies to business owners. If you are a W-2 employee with no business entity, this break does not apply. In that case, the G-Wagon is a pure luxury expense. You need to judge it by that standard. The G-Wagon story is not really about buying one right now. The real lesson is different. Most American consumers evaluate a car purchase the wrong way. People see the price tag and call it a bad financial decision. But they are only looking at half the equation. The missing half is this. What will that vehicle be worth after 5 years? After 7 years? What tax savings apply if you qualify? Consider the opportunity cost of driving something $80,000 cheaper. That cheaper car might depreciate twice as fast. Wealthy people do not just buy assets. They analyze the rate of depreciation and the full life cycle cost. A car that looks economically foolish on the surface tells a different story. It often ends up being the choice of people who understand money best. Now leave your thoughts in the comments below. Say you had to choose between a brand new BMW X7 for $95,000. It is listed at that price today. Or a 2020 G-Wagon at that same price on the used market. Which one would you choose? And more importantly, why? There is no right or wrong answer here. But how you analyze that question reveals something. It shows whether you think like a consumer or like an investor. The next video covers a vehicle most Americans see as a farmer's truck, but it is actually the favorite tax planning tool of Sunbelt millionaires. See you in the next one.